This is wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This story begins in fall 1987, when I meet a boy called Ronald. We hang out every day, doing our exam work, and one day he asks me to be his girlfriend. It is crowded and messy in his room, but we are there a lot anyways. Mostly we had to be at school, finishing our exam work. But during Christmas we went home. My boyfriend wanted to see my family, as he'd already asked me to get engaged with him. He met our dog, and my sister Greenie. I helped Greenie dye her hair more. So I helped my sister dye her hair, and then Mom wanted a word with me. Mom wanted to talk to me about my boyfriend Ronald, and how he was too young for me. She said I should not expect too much from him, and that it would not last. A few days later we were at a New Year's party with some friends of Ronald's. As the clock struck 12 and it was 1988, Ronald and I changed rings and became engaged. We soon got our own little home and some cats, and we lived happily ever after. Or did we? One day when we were living in our new home minding our own business, Ronald got a call from his mom. Ronald's mom Vivian only called to tell him that he must break up with me, as a girl like me would never stay. Ronald got very hurt that his mom felt him so worthless he could not be with me, as he really wanted us to get married. So in May 1989 we got married in the Count's chapel, which the Count never allowed. I'd said ever since I was small I'd marry in this chapel, so then the common church got closed just in time. Despite Ronald's mom not liking me, we moved to his parents' hometown. We bought a small house. Shortly after we had our first baby. It was a lovely little girl. We named Sarah Maria. My mom told me that now she was old, as she was a granny, and she did not like it. 3 years later, just before Christmas, we also got a baby boy. We named him after his dad, Ronald Jr. When Mom and Sister Greenie came over I got very ill, as I was so weak after giving birth. As soon as Mom and Greenie heard I was very ill, they shortened their stay and rushed home. Ronald had to go back to work and I was all alone with the little ones and burning up. Mom said they had to go, so they did not get ill too. But I got ill as I was so weak. After giving birth, I spent 10 days in bed, with burning fever, terrible coughing, and only my little girl Marie to take care of me during the day. Ronald couldn't take any more time off, and none of Ronald's family close by helped us out. A year later my second brother Bert was going to get married in Miami, so I took little Marie with me and flew over. We flew on the same plane as my brothers. Bert had before the trip asked me to be the driver in Miami. I didn't want to as I was pregnant again, and felt very sick. Bert had begged me to drive, so I gave in. He also told me to not tell our brother Gus, as he didn't want them to fall out. I felt very dizzy as we arrived, but Bert still insisted I drive. I really didn't want to. It was a horrible time in Miami and I'd barely eaten anything the whole time, as most food there had only made me feel worse. Even my dress of pure Thai silk had been ruined. Bert and his fiancée hated it and forced me to iron it. I was bullied for days over my outfit and was dragged to mall after mall. I was so happy to be home again, as I missed my baby so much. They told me it was fine to leave him, but now I know they lied. Baby Junior was upset for years that I'd gone away and I wish we hadn't. Shortly after we came home I got very ill again. This time baby Junior was 1 year old. My mother-in-law did come over, at least one time in the 10 days I was ill. I'd gotten too exhausted by the stressful trip. I'd only had one wish one there, and it was to see the Everglades and the Indians. Bert had been obsessing over my outfit for days. I'd made it from real Thai silk, and it was high fashion. So there was no time left, and I never got to see the Everglades then. In the summer we went to see my family. We stayed over at Dad's farm, where he lived after they divorced 5 years ago. We went to see Bert and Mom was there. When I needed to go back, Bert made Roland stay. Mom said she'd drive him later. It was almost morning before they came. I was pregnant, tired, and Bert had fooled Ronald to drink like him, so he was wasted. Mom said that Ronald was an alcoholic, since he could not drink. I almost fell backwards, as that was crazy. A week after Halloween that year we got yet another little baby boy. We called him Harold, after Ronald's uncle. It soon became clear that Harold would not sleep at night, and Junior would never sleep a day. In daytime Marie and Junior ran around and played, while me and little Harold tried to sleep. I was a mess most holidays, and I had no help ever. It had seemed like a good idea to move close to Ronald's family, but we got no help really. His parents were focused on their divorced son and his child. In spring 1991 Ronald's dad had ripped out the bathroom without asking. I was pregnant, and needed it. It was great when it was done, and I missed that pink bathroom from our first house. In 1998 we went to see Ronald's parents in their house up far north. Ronald had spent his whole vacation when Junior was tiny to help them build it. Ronald's dad said he'd pay us back by helping Ronald build a fence around our home, so the kids would not get run over. We bought the fence, but he never had time. We got a new baby girl in 2000, and we named her Anna Vera. Soon after Ronald started to work far away, and was gone during the weekdays, I was all alone that whole year with my 4 kids. I never saw any of Ronald's family. They never phoned to ask how I was doing. My dad helped me by getting me a big enough car for the whole family. Mom surprised me by organizing Vera's christening near her home. Since I finally had a car of my own I could take my kids on trips around the area. We also could go and see my brother Gus and his family. Gus' wife told me that Bert blamed me for the car issue in Miami. That shocked me, as it was Bert's request. I had heard that Gus had gone low contact with Mom in 1998. Mom seemed not to care and she kept pretending she knew all about them. Now I see all were just lies, so neither Mom or Bert tell the truth about events, and play victims, when it's them behaving badly. That is childish behavior, and very common today. Ronald liked his new job, so we looked for a new house nearby. Both of us felt we had no help from his family, as all they did was help his 2 brothers. We were left to our own. I feel it's better to know you are on your own, than to believe in people who only lie to you. Narcissists like to promise things, to make you help them out, but they rarely do it. True friends help you out and don't use you. They don't put you down to make themselves feel better. They care if you are happy, and they tell the truth. So we found a house, and when we were moving away was the first time Ronald's parents came and helped us out. His mom cleaned our old home for us, without us asking her. We had been so thankful they made an effort, but as soon as I was alone with his parents they jumped on me and bashed me for what a lousy wife I was. 'Cause mother-in-law said so. I've been all alone this whole year, with a baby and 3 more kids, and no protecting fence, thanks to her. They never offered to help, or give me a break. We felt we had a new start, away from family that did not care to be with us. My dad lived not too far away, and he gave us a small amount to cover the new house. Bert had at the same time gotten 10 times more from Dad, when he moved to Miami. Bert has only 1 child, and his old house was not a loss. But at this time I was only grateful Dad helped us, as we had lost so much on our old house, so we could not buy the new house. None of the other parents ever helped us this way. At the beginning when we lived here my sister Greenie came over now and then. She sent me hundreds of emails, and phoned me a lot. I felt sorry for Greenie, as she said she envied me and my family. At that time I really thought we still were sisters. Mom forced me to go to a ball Greenie arranged, though Vera was still tiny. Mom bought me the ticket, and said I had no excuse not to go. I ended up being the drunk driver to Greenie, and it all costed me more than 5 times the ticket. I promised myself to not be manipulated that way ever again, to put my relatives before my own children. Vera was very upset I'd been gone. It was like none of my wants mattered to them. Almost like they did the opposite to what they knew I needed. If your children see that others can push you around, they learn from that. Either they too start to treat you badly, or they feel worthless themselves. You need to show your children that you have boundaries, as bullies love to use others. Say no and stick to it. In winter 2005, a hurricane devastated this area we live in. We lost power for a week, Dad for 3. It was tough. Greenie and Bert said we all needed to help Dad. Only Gus came and cut trees for a time. We wanted to help. Greenie said we could work at her summer house. All my children helped out, and Greenie's boy. Suddenly Greenie verbally attacked Junior, so I tried to joke it away, but she lashed out at me too, so we dropped the sticks and left. What happens when you say no, is that the bullies claim you are neglecting them, that you are selfish. It's okay to be a little selfish, as you will end up dead if you are not. Bullies only say such things to shame you into obeying them. There is no truth in it. You know them from false promises to do things. If only you do this first, a bully will try to avoid accountability. So if you call them out on their bluff and remind them of their promise, a true bully will divert and lie, or play victim. It's gone many years now since Greenie visited my home. She got married again, and that was it. Since then Dad has gotten ill from his heart and later he died from that. So much more happened with my own family. We became grandparents to a little boy called Will, and both Marie and Junior have by now moved away. Little Will was born in 2011, and they moved out 1.5 years later, after Marie had gotten her driver's license. Junior got his license in 2014 and moved too. It might sound like we dropped all relatives, but mine used Dad's illness to bully me for years. He even told me he felt very bullied, and called them out on it. Mom, Bert and Greenie forced Dad to agree that someone could be his guardian, if he'd got worse. Dad signed me as that person, but in 2012 Greenie lied and said he never did. I found all that in old mails from 2005. They all lied to me and Gus, to force us to instead agree upon Greenie. In 2004 Greenie had married again. Both Dad and Mom called him out on being untrustworthy. At that time I felt we should give him a chance. But looking back I rethink that. He got his own mother to sign over her house to him, pretending he'd keep it. Then he sold it. Greenie told me they were to keep it, but that was another lie. Since Greenie said she had control over Dad's finances when he died, she said we had to sign her over as the settler of his estate. So they tricked us to give them control. It's been very upsetting that my own sister Greenie is doing all these things. But I do remember Daddy warning me several times about her. Love is blind till it wakes up. In short, Greenie wanted Dad to sign a will back in 1996, but he refused. Now she wanted us to agree to those terms. Both Mom and Bert agreed this was Dad's express wishes. What makes it confusing is that Dad had signed another paper for Greenie, but not a will, and that she showed it to me and Gus saw it too. The most useful tool for a con artist is confusion. Wherever you find it, there is something not right. Truth is easy and clear, so liars use tricks to confuse. Mom is helping out to confuse things, by turning an unsigned will into proof, and believing hearsay from the 90s has any value. Only a signed will can change we are all equals. Mom has always used my kindness, so she used Dad's illness to get me to take her dog in, as she said she'd help Dad. More lies. In all families there are some narcissists, but most people grow up and see there is no future in lying and bullying loved ones. You only end up losing them for good. So that is my Christmas greeting to all of you. Don't lie to get one over another, don't bully, don't smear, but be kind and honest, and most of all, be kind to yourself too. We can only try our best, and leave out those that are only giving us grief and sadness. Life is too short to waste on tears. Merry Christmas.
This is wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.